All right, in this lesson, we're going to start going through the settings that you can find on your computer. So you're going to find wherever your computer has settings. Frequently, I like to go to the magnifying glass and then type in settings. Other people might like to open the window icon and then find settings. Everyone has their own preference. We are here. Okay, so the first thing that you'll see is a list of categories. We're on a Windows computer right now. So on the left-hand side, these are the main categories. And they actually have a section that's called accessibility. So we're going to click that. Let's say we want to increase the text size because you're watching on your videos and this is a little bit smaller than what you thought it would be. So let's go ahead and increase that to 120%. We'll say apply. It must think for a moment. Don't be alarmed at the blue screen. It's not the blue screen of death. It is the please wait as we think. All right, so now you'll see that my screen is a little bit bigger. If you're not quite sure, then pause and go back and then compare, but the screen size is bigger. All of the words on my screen are now bigger. Let's go through some of these other ones. We're going to go, so I mentioned breadcrumbs in another video, and then I might talk about that here. Sure enough, if you go, this breadcrumb shows you where you have been and how to get back. So if we click accessibility across the top, it gets us back to this. Please note that they do have categories for you. So this is the vision category. If we scroll down, there's a hearing category and an interaction. That would be the dexterity motor categories we were talking about. So we're just going to go through vision right now. So we did text size, visual effects. So do you want to see the scroll bar or do you not? That's up to you. That's up to your client. Transparency effects. So right now, behind this window, my background is a cream color and it's got some words on it. Can't really see the words here in this transparent screen, but it is kind of creamy. What if we turn it off? Now it made this a solid gray. It's turned off the transparency. It always needs to think a little bit when you're turning these settings on and off because it's applying it across your computer. Animation effects, remember if you're working with somebody who is easily distracted, has cognition needs, has vision needs, turn off the animations. You can also dismiss notifications after a period of time. I don't know about you, but I have notifications that occasionally pop up in this bottom corner where my mouse is circling. You can make that automatically dismiss in less time. Let's go back to accessibility. So that was text size, visual effects, mouse pointer, and touch. So you can change what the mouse pointer style is. And if you hover, it'll even tell you inverted, otherwise custom black. You can change the size. So now my cursor is this big. Boop. And you can have a touch indicator. This will show a circle on the screen where I touch it. Currently that is on. Make the circle darker and larger. Let's click that and we'll try it out. Actually not seeing a difference right now. That's interesting. Then they have some related settings. You've been seeing this on all the screens, but I like this in particular for the mouse, if we're working with the mouse. The mouse pointer speed. Sometimes the mouse rushes across the screen at your slightest touch. That's where you change that. The primary button being the left or the right. If someone has different hand preference, how you scroll. The text cursor, the indicator, if it's flashing, and the thickness of it. And then the touchpad. Remember we talked about gestures and how that can be difficult to recall. But if your client is someone who benefits from shortcuts and gestures, gestures, and then the touchpad sensitivity, much like the mouse speed and sensitivity, the touchpad has that too. Let's say we click the touchpad. We'll see that it brought us to a different section. It doesn't say accessibility anymore. So let's say we adjust the settings we wanted to adjust here. We can click this back button and it will take us back to where we just were, even though it's a different section. It'll take us back much like it would on the browser as you go from page to page, site to site, it'll go back. Let's click accessibility. We have your text cursor, which is something that was just shown to us as a related topic. Your magnifying glass, so if you need a reader, it gives you a shortcut that you can turn on, your zoom level, and how all of that works. You can invert colors here. Let's turn that on. And now we have a shortcut, Control-Alt-I, Control-Alt-I to invert colors. Appearance, reading shortcuts, related. Let's go back to accessibility. Color filters. This helps for people with color blindness, people who prefer grayscale or need inverted. So let's say we turn on the color filters, grayscale, inverted, regular grayscale, blue, yellow. See how this is different from this original image, blue, yellow, red, green, red, green. I'm gonna leave that off for now. And again, you can set up shortcuts on your keyboard if you need that. You can also, related settings, you can change light and dark mode. You can change the accent color, transparency effects. You can change the theme background image, theme color, other themes that go across your computer. Let's go back to accessibility. Two more for vision, contrast themes. One thing I will say about these contrast themes, I had a client about a week ago, 2 weeks ago now, who was using one of these themes and it interfered with his current favorite game, which is Wordle. It interfered with that. Even though that site had its own accessibility settings you could turn on and off, because this theme was being applied to the web pages, which usually is helpful. In this case, it was not for him. So what we did is we turned it off. We don't have any contrast themes on his computer. We just played with some of those other color filters instead to give him what he wanted. So that's something to know. While contrast themes is here and it helps a lot of people, and that's great, for this particular client and instance, color filters was a better fit for how he used his device. And then there's, again, the last one in Vision is on the narrator. So you can use a narrator, which is the text to speech. You can turn them on and off and then have some additional settings that go with it. He automatically started reading to me. You can't see my video right now, but I definitely jumped. You can start the narrator before sign in or after sign in, whatever is going to help your client work through the device. You can change the voice. So it was David who popped up in my ears and startled me. You can change it to a few different people to see what sounds the best for you. You can also add additional voices. You can record one, or you can find one on a different site to download. You can change the speed of which they talk, um, which is very helpful for people who need to process more slowly, or people who feel like they're in a little bit more of a hurry. You can change the pitch, the volume, the verbosity of this narrator. I encourage you to try this yourself and see what it sounds like. Play around in here. That'll be your homework for this session. narrator keys, untouch, just different ways to interact and use this. There are a lot of settings here. Assuming they made the assumption if someone needs narrator, they likely need a whole bunch of other specific settings. This is complicated to set up. Please take the time to move slowly through this process with your client. The more time you spend making sure that the setup is right and correct and exactly what they need, the less often they'll have to come back to you or other people, the less feeling of frustrations that they're going to have because it's not working the way that they thought. And hopefully they won't discard it completely. Sometimes when people are really frustrated with technology, they want to ditch the whole tool, and we don't want that for them. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next video.